When Maya's life crashes in Chicago, a stranger gifts her a first-class seat on a flight to Atlanta, setting off a chain of unexpected love, fierce custody battles, and life-changing truths. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Maya Ellis stared out the airport window as rain pelted the glass. Just like her life, the weather in Chicago had turned cold and unwelcoming. At 28, she found herself jobless, homeless, and heading back to Atlanta with nothing but a small suitcase and a worn journal filled with poems and prayers. Final boarding call for Flight 1427 to Atlanta. The announcement echoed through the crowded terminal. Maya took a deep breath and clutched her boarding pass. Economy class, last row, middle seat. It was all she could afford after being let go from her marketing job 2 weeks ago. The same week, her landlord had informed her that the building was being sold and all tenants had to vacate. It seemed like the universe was sending her a clear message. Time to go home. She joined the long line of passengers, her tired eyes scanning the crowded gate area. Everyone looked so purposeful, so certain of where they belonged. Maya felt like an imposter. Her simple black dress, the nicest thing she still owned, hung loosely on her frame. She'd lost weight from the stress of the past few weeks. "Ms. Ellis, Maya Ellis?" A flight attendant approached her with a tablet in hand. Maya tensed. "Yes, that's me. Is there a problem with my ticket?" The flight attendant smiled. "Not at all. I'm pleased to inform you that your seat has been upgraded to first class for today's flight." "There must be some mistake," Maya said, shaking her head. "I bought the cheapest ticket available." "No mistake. An anonymous passenger gave up their seat for you." Maya blinked in confusion. "Who would do that?" "I'm not at liberty to say," the attendant replied. "But they must have had their reasons. If you'll follow me, I'll escort you to your new seat." As Maya boarded the plane, her eyes scanned the business class section. A tall, well-dressed man looked up from his laptop and their eyes met. He gave her a single nod before returning to his work. Something about his face, handsome but serious with eyes that seemed to carry a heavy weight, made her pause. The flight attendant guided her to first class, where a spacious leather seat awaited. Maya sat down, overwhelmed by the luxury that surrounded her. As she settled in, she noticed a folded piece of paper on the seat beside her. With trembling fingers, she opened it. Sometimes a soft soul needs to be reminded that the world hasn't gone completely cold. "You looked like someone who needed a break. I hope this is the beginning of something better. GL." Maya read the note 3 times, her heart pounding. She turned to look back toward business class, but couldn't see past the curtain that separated the cabins. "Can I get you something to drink before takeoff?" a different flight attendant asked. "Actually," Maya said, clutching the note, "do you know who was originally assigned to this seat?" "I'm sorry, ma'am. That information is confidential," the attendant replied with a practiced smile. "But whoever it was must have thought you deserved it." Maya settled back, still stunned. No one had noticed her pain in weeks, maybe years. Not her co-workers who barely said goodbye when she was let go. Not her ex-boyfriend, who had stopped returning her calls months ago. Not even her mother, who was too busy with her new husband to hear the desperation in Maya's voice. Yet a complete stranger had seen her, truly seen her, and responded with kindness. Throughout the flight, Maya tried to catch another glimpse of the man in business class. During one trip to the restroom, she spotted him gently cradling a sleeping boy about 6 years old. The child clung to him even in sleep, and the man's face softened as he adjusted a small blanket around the boy's shoulders. When the plane landed in Atlanta, Maya was determined to find him and express her gratitude. But in the chaos of deplaning, she lost sight of him and his son. Standing at baggage claim, she realized with a sinking heart that she had left her journal in the seat pocket. That journal contained years of her thoughts, fears, and dreams. It was her most precious possession, more valuable than anything else she owned. "Everything okay, honey?" an older woman beside her asked, noticing her distress. "I left something important on the plane," Maya explained. "My journal." "Well, go tell someone. They might still be cleaning the aircraft." Maya rushed to the airline service desk but was told that the plane had already been prepared for its next flight. They took her contact information and promised to call if the journal was turned in to Lost and Found. 3 days later, Maya was staying on her friend Tasha's couch, sending out job applications and trying not to feel like her life was falling apart. Her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. "Ms. Ellis, this is Atlanta International Airport's Lost and Found. We've received an item that may belong to you." Maya's heart leaped. "My journal? Someone found it?" "Yes, ma'am. A passenger turned it in personally. You can pick it up any time during business hours. The next morning, Maya arrived at the airport lost and found counter. The clerk handed her a package wrapped in brown paper. The gentleman was very insistent that we contact you right away, the clerk said with a smile. Said it looked important. Maya unwrapped the package with shaking hands. Inside was her journal along with another folded note. She opened it immediately. Your words are beautiful. Don't stop writing. Let me know if you ever want to talk. No expectations. Just honesty. Grant Langston. This time, the note included a phone number. Maya stood frozen, staring at the name. Grant Langston. GL. The man from the plane. That evening, after hours of debate with herself, Maya dialed the number. Langston, a deep voice answered on the third ring. Mr. Langston, this is Maya Ellis from the plane. You gave me your first-class seat. There was a pause, then his voice softened. Maya, I'm glad you called. I wanted to thank you for the seat and for returning my journal. I hope you don't mind that I looked inside, he said. I needed to figure out who it belonged to. Maya felt her cheeks warm. So you read my poems? Just enough to find your name. But what I saw was powerful. In the background, Maya heard a child's voice calling for Daddy. That's my son, Grant explained. Leo, he needs me for bedtime. Of course, Maya said quickly. I just wanted to say thank you. Wait, Grant said before she could hang up. Would you like to get coffee sometime, just to talk? Your writing made me think you might understand some things I've been going through. Maya hesitated. This was crazy, wasn't it? Meeting a stranger who had read her private thoughts. I'd like that, she heard herself say. Great. How about the Garden Cafe on Peachtree this Saturday at noon? I'll be there, Maya replied. After they hung up, Maya sat on Tasha's couch, hugging her journal to her chest. For the first time in months, she felt something unexpected stirring inside her. Hope. The Garden Cafe was busy when Maya arrived on Saturday. She had spent far too much time deciding what to wear, finally settling on a simple blue dress and her one pair of decent shoes. Her limited funds hadn't allowed for a new outfit, but she had carefully styled her hair and applied light makeup. She spotted him immediately. Grant Langston sat at a corner table, his attention focused on a little boy who was coloring intently on a piece of paper. Grant was even more handsome in daylight, tall and broad-shouldered, with warm brown skin and closely cropped hair that showed touches of silver at the temples. He wore a casual button-down shirt, but something about his posture spoke of wealth and confidence. When he looked up and saw her, his serious expression softened into a smile. He rose to his feet as she approached. Maya, he said, extending his hand. Thank you for coming. His handshake was firm but gentle. Up close, Maya could see the weariness in his eyes despite his smile. This is my son, Leo, Grant said, gesturing to the boy. Leo looked up briefly, his large brown eyes assessing her before returning to his coloring. He had his father's features, but there was a quietness about him that seemed unusual for a child his age. Hi, Leo, Maya said gently. That's a beautiful picture. Leo didn't respond, but pushed his drawing toward her. It showed 3 stick figures, a tall one, a small one, and one with wings floating above them. That's me and Dad, Leo said softly, pointing. And that's Mom in heaven. Maya felt her heart constrict. She glanced at Grant, who was watching his son with a mixture of love and sadness. It's a wonderful drawing, she said. You're very talented. Leo nodded solemnly and began a new picture. As they ordered coffee and juice for Leo, the conversation started awkwardly. Small talk about the weather and the cafe. But gradually, as Leo became absorbed in his drawing, Grant began to open up. I should explain about the seat upgrade, he said. I was watching you at the gate. You reminded me of someone. Who? Maya asked. Grant's eyes darkened with memory. Myself, 3 years ago, after my wife died. That look of someone trying to keep it together when everything is falling apart. Maya felt exposed, but not uncomfortable. You're very observant. When you're responsible for noticing how a 6-year-old is feeling, even when he can't express it, you get good at reading people, Grant replied, glancing at his son. Was I right? About things falling apart? Maya nodded slowly. I lost my job, my apartment, pretty much everything except what I could fit in one suitcase. I'm sorry, Grant said sincerely. Don't be. Your kindness that day, it meant more than you know. Their conversation flowed surprisingly easily after that. Grant told her about his tech company, which developed educational software for children with special needs. The business had been his wife Serena's passion before her death from cancer 3 years earlier. Leo was only 3 when she died, Grant explained quietly. Young enough that he's forgetting her a little more each day. That's almost harder than losing her. Maya felt her eyes fill with tears. I can't imagine how difficult that must be for both of you. Your poems, Grant said, changing the subject, they speak to loss too. Not death, but something else. Maya stirred her coffee. My father left when I was 4, never came back, never explained why. My poems are mostly about absence, I guess. The holes people leave behind. Grant nodded. That's what I felt when I read them. That you'd understand what it's like to keep going when part of your world has disappeared. They talked for nearly 2 hours, while Leo quietly colored, occasionally tugging on his father's sleeve to show him a new drawing. As they prepared to leave, Grant hesitated. I don't usually do this, he said. Connect with people, I mean. Not since Serena. But would you mind if I called you again? I'd like that, Maya replied. Dad, I'm hungry, Leo interrupted, tugging at Grant's hand. We should go, Grant said apologetically. But thank you for meeting us. As they parted ways outside the cafe, Grant surprised her by taking her hand and squeezing it gently. You have a gift, Maya. With words. Don't let your current circumstances make you forget that. Over the next 2 weeks, they spoke on the phone almost daily. Grant was busy with his company and Leo, while Maya continued her job search. But their conversations became a bright spot in her otherwise challenging days. Then one evening, Grant called with an unexpected question. Do you write by hand or computer? Hand mostly, Maya replied. Why? Would you be willing to write me a letter? A real one on paper? I'd like to write one to you too. Maya was surprised by the request. A letter? Like through the mail? There's something about putting thoughts on paper, Grant explained. It's more deliberate than emails or texts. More honest. The next day, Maya bought a pack of stationery with her dwindling funds and began to write. She found herself pouring out feelings she hadn't shared with anyone, about her childhood without a father, about the depression that had followed her for years, about how writing had become her lifeline. 3 days later, an envelope arrived at Tasha's apartment, addressed to Maya in a neat masculine handwriting. Grant's letter was unexpectedly raw. He wrote about meeting Serena in college, about their dreams of changing education through technology. He described the 27 months of her illness, and how he'd tried to prepare himself for her death but still felt blindsided when it came. He wrote about his guilt at feeling relief when her suffering ended, and his fear that Leo would grow up without memories of his mother. The final paragraph made Maya's heart race. I've built walls around myself and Leo for protection, I told myself, but your poems made me realize that walls keep out light as well as pain. When I saw you at the airport, something told me you were a person who might bring light back into our lives. Is that too much to put on a stranger? Perhaps, but I don't feel like you're a stranger anymore. Grant. Maya immediately sat down to write back. Their letter exchange continued, each message more open than the last. They shared fears and dreams, memories and hopes. Maya wrote about her ambition to publish a book of poetry someday. Grant described his struggle to balance being both mother and father to Leo. 1 month after their coffee meeting, Grant invited Maya to dinner at his home. Leo asked about you yesterday, he explained over the phone. He wanted to know when the lady who liked his drawings would visit. Maya was touched. He really said that? He did. He doesn't talk about many people. Would you come? Nothing fancy, just dinner at our place? Maya agreed, and Tasha helped her prepare, lending her a nicer dress and driving her to the address Grant had provided. The house was larger than Maya had expected. A beautiful 2-story home in one of Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhoods. For a moment she felt intimidated by the reminder of the difference in their circumstances. But when Grant opened the door with Leo peeking shyly from behind his legs, her nervousness faded. We made spaghetti, Leo announced. It's red. It was the most words he had spoken directly to her, and Maya smiled. Red spaghetti is my absolute favorite. During dinner, Maya noticed how Grant had clearly gone out of his way to make the evening special. The table was set beautifully with fresh flowers and candles. Leo had made place cards with carefully printed names. After they ate, Leo insisted on showing Maya his room. The walls were covered with his drawings, and a framed photo of a beautiful woman sat on his bedside table. That's my mum, Leo said solemnly. She's not here anymore. She was very beautiful, Maya replied gently. Dad says I have her smile, Leo continued. Do you think I do? Maya looked at the photo again, then at Leo's serious little face. Yes, I think you do. You have the same kind eyes too. Leo seemed satisfied with this answer. Want to see my special box? Dad gave it to me. It has Mom's things in it. He pulled out a wooden box from under his bed and carefully opened it. Inside were a woman's bracelet, a silk scarf, and several more photos. "I'm supposed to look at these so I don't forget her," Leo explained matter-of-factly, "but sometimes it makes Dad sad when I do." Maya felt her heart breaking for this solemn little boy, trying to hold on to memories of his mother while protecting his father's feelings. "You know what might be nice?" Maya suggested. "We could write stories about your mom. Then you'd always have them to read." Leo's eyes widened. "You can write stories. Dad said you write poems." "I can write stories too," Maya assured him. "Maybe we could write one together sometime." "Now?" Leo asked eagerly. "Leo, it's getting late," Grant said from the doorway. He had been watching them quietly. "Time for bed. Maya can come back another day for story writing." To Maya's surprise, Leo didn't protest. Instead, he carefully returned the box to its place under the bed and climbed under the covers. "Will you come back?" he asked Maya directly. "If it's okay with your dad, I'd love to," she replied. Grant tucked Leo in, and they said their goodnights. As they walked downstairs, Grant seemed emotional. "I haven't seen him that talkative with anyone in months," he said. "Not even his teacher or his cousins." In the living room, Grant poured them each a glass of wine. "Thank you for being so good with him. He's a wonderful boy," Maya said sincerely. "He just carries a lot on those little shoulders." Grant nodded, his expression somber. "Sometimes I worry that I've taught him to be too serious, that my grief has stolen his childhood." "Children are resilient," Maya said, "and he clearly feels safe with you. That's the most important thing." They sat together on the couch, talking until well past midnight. As Grant drove her back to Tasha's apartment, Maya felt a growing connection that both excited and frightened her. At her door, Grant hesitated. "I'd like to see you again, not just for Leo's sake." Maya looked up at him. "I'd like that too." He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he kissed her gently. It was brief and tentative, but Maya felt it down to her toes. "Good night, Maya," he whispered. "Good night, Grant." Inside, Maya leaned against the closed door, her heart racing. She had come to Atlanta with nothing, feeling like a failure. Now, against all odds, something beautiful seemed to be growing from the ashes of her old life. But a nagging voice reminded her that she was still unemployed, still sleeping on a friend's couch. Grant Langston lived in a different world. Could someone like her really belong in his life? The next morning, Maya checked her email to find a message from one of the companies she had applied to. They wanted her to come in for an interview the following week. It was for a marketing position at a publishing house. Her dream job. As excitement bubbled up inside her, her phone buzzed with a text from Grant. "Leo hasn't stopped talking about you. When can we see you again?" Maya smiled as she typed her reply. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't look so bleak after all. What she didn't know was that their budding relationship would soon face challenges neither of them was prepared for. Challenges that would test the fragile trust they were building and force them both to confront their deepest fears. Maya smoothed her skirt nervously as she sat in the waiting area of Horizon Publishing. The office was bright and modern, with bookshelves displaying colorful covers of their successful titles. In 15 minutes, she would interview for the marketing position, a job that could change everything for her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Grant. "Good luck today. Leo and I are sending positive thoughts your way." Maya smiled, typing back a quick thank you. Over the past few weeks, Grant and Leo had become fixtures in her life. She had visited their home several more times, helping Leo write stories about his mother and watching movies together as Grant prepared dinner. Each visit made it harder to leave. "Ms. Ellis, we're ready for you now," a young woman called from the doorway. The interview went better than Maya could have hoped. The marketing director, Vanessa seemed impressed with her portfolio and ideas. "You have a fresh perspective that we need," Vanessa said at the end of their conversation. "And your background in social media marketing is exactly what we're looking for to reach younger readers." "Thank you," Maya replied, trying to contain her excitement. "This company represents everything I believe in about books and storytelling." Vanessa smiled. "There's just one thing. This position would require you to relocate to our main office in San Francisco. Would that be a problem?" Maya's heart sank. San Francisco. Across the country from Atlanta, from Grant and Leo. "Not at all," she heard herself say. "I'm flexible with location." "Excellent. We'll be in touch by the end of the week." As Maya left the building, conflicting emotions swirled inside her. This was her dream job, marketing books for a respected publisher, with a salary that would allow her to have her own place again. But the thought of leaving Atlanta just as something beautiful was beginning with Grant made her stomach knot with anxiety. She decided to walk rather than take the bus, needing time to think. Her phone rang. It was Grant. "How did it go?" he asked eagerly. "Really well," Maya said, trying to sound excited. "They seem to like me." "That's wonderful. We should celebrate. Are you free tonight?" "I thought maybe we could go out, just the two of us. Mrs. Jenkins from next door offered to watch Leo." "That sounds perfect," Maya said, pushing her worries aside for the moment. That evening, Grant took her to an elegant restaurant overlooking the city. Maya wore a borrowed dress from Tasha, feeling slightly out of place among the well-dressed patrons. "You look beautiful," Grant said as they were seated at a window table. "And before I forget, Leo wanted me to give you this." He handed her a folded piece of paper. Inside was a childish drawing of 3 figures holding hands: a tall man, a small boy, and a woman with curly hair. Above them, Leo had written in careful letters, "My family." Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. "He drew me with you." Grant reached across the table to take her hand. "You've become important to him, to both of us." The waiter brought champagne, and Grant raised his glass. "To new beginnings." Maya clinked her glass against his, the joy of the moment mingling with the dread of her potential departure. As they enjoyed their meal, Grant seemed unusually nervous, checking his watch and clearing his throat several times, as if preparing to say something important. "Is everything okay?" Maya finally asked. "Better than okay," Grant replied. "Maya, these past few weeks have been transformative. When Serena died, I thought that part of my life was over. I focused entirely on Leo and work, because it was safer than opening myself up to more loss." Maya listened, her heart pounding. "But then you came along," Grant continued. "With your poetry and your gentle way with Leo, you've brought something back to our lives that I thought was gone forever." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's eyes widened. "It's not what you think," Grant said quickly, opening the box to reveal a delicate silver key on a chain. "This is a key to our home. I want you to have it, to come and go as you please, to be a part of our lives, officially." Maya stared at the key, speechless. "I know it's fast," Grant continued nervously, "but when you've lost someone, you learn not to waste time. I'm falling in love with you, Maya, and I think you might be feeling the same way." The words she needed to say stuck in her throat. About the job, about San Francisco. Instead, she reached for the key, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Grant, I'm overwhelmed. This means so much to me." He smiled, relief washing over his face. "So you'll accept it?" Maya began, but was interrupted by the arrival of dessert. As they shared a chocolate souffle, Maya struggled with how to tell him about the job offer. The moment never seemed right, and soon they were walking along the river, hand in hand under the stars. Grant pulled her close, kissing her with more passion than before. Maya responded, trying to memorize the feeling of being in his arms, afraid it might not last. "Stay with me tonight," Grant whispered against her ear. Maya pulled back slightly. "What about Leo?" "Mrs. Jenkins is staying over. He'll be fine," Grant assured her. I don't want tonight to end." Maya knew she should tell him about San Francisco before things went further, but the look in Grant's eyes, hopeful and vulnerable, made the words impossible to say. "Yes," she whispered instead. That night in Grant's arms was everything Maya had dreamed of, tender and passionate, with whispered confessions and gentle touches. As dawn broke, she lay watching him sleep, tracing the contours of his face with her fingertips. "I could get used to waking up to that," Grant murmured, his eyes still closed. "To what?" Maya asked. "The feeling of being watched by someone who actually sees me." He opened his eyes, pulling her closer. "Stay for breakfast? Leo will be thrilled to find you here." The mention of Leo brought reality crashing back. Maya sat up, clutching the sheet around her. "Grant, there's something I need to tell you." Before she could continue, his phone rang. Grant glanced at the screen and frowned. "It's the school. I have to take this." He answered quickly, his expression growing concerned. "Is he okay?" "Yes, I'll come right away." He hung up, already reaching for his clothes. "Leo had some kind of panic attack at the before-school program. I need to go get him." "Of course," Maya said, getting up. "Let me come with you." They dressed quickly and rushed to the elementary school. In the nurse's office, Leo sat huddled in a chair, his face tear-streaked and pale. "Daddy!" he cried when he saw Grant, launching himself into his father's arms. "I'm here, buddy. What happened?" Grant asked, holding him tight. "I couldn't breathe," Leo sobbed, "and my heart went too fast. I thought I was going to die like Mommy." Grant's face crumpled at the words. The school nurse explained that Leo had become upset during a Mother's Day craft project. He started crying and couldn't catch his breath, she said quietly. We thought it best to call you right away. Thank you, Grant said, still cradling Leo. We'll take him home. Leo spotted Maya standing in the doorway and reached for her with one arm, keeping the other firmly around his father's neck. Maya stepped forward, embracing them both. Maya's here too, Leo said, his voice steadier. Can she come home with us? Of course she can, Grant assured him. At home, Grant settled Leo on the couch with his favorite blanket and put on a movie. The little boy was exhausted from his emotional ordeal and soon fell asleep. In the kitchen, Grant made coffee with shaking hands. It's the first panic attack he's had in almost a year, he said quietly. His therapist warned me that grief can resurface around anniversaries or special events. Mother's Day is next week. Maya placed a hand on his arm. You're doing everything right, Grant. Being there for him is what matters most. Grant turned to her, his eyes filled with anguish. You've been amazing through all this. I don't know what we would have done without you these past few weeks. The weight of her secret felt unbearable. Grant, please sit down. I need to tell you something. They sat at the kitchen table, and Maya took a deep breath. The publishing company offered me the job. Grant's face lit up. Maya, that's wonderful. When do you start? There's more, she continued. The position is in San Francisco. I'd have to move there within 3 weeks. The joy drained from Grant's expression. San Francisco? That's across the country. I know. I just found out during the interview yesterday. I should have told you right away, but I didn't want to ruin our evening. Grant stood up abruptly, turning away from her. Were you planning to take it? I haven't decided yet, Maya said honestly. It's my dream job, but now there's us. Grant finished for her, his voice tight. Maya, I can't ask you to give up this opportunity. That wouldn't be fair. I'm not asking you to ask me, Maya replied. I'm just trying to figure out what's right. Grant turned back to face her, his expression unreadable. What about last night? What about the key I gave you? Last night was beautiful, Maya said, tears forming, and the key means everything to me. But Grant, we've known each other for less than 2 months. Is that enough to base such a huge decision on? A flash of hurt crossed Grant's face. It was enough for me to know that I want you in my life, in our lives. Grant, don't go, he said suddenly, the words bursting out of him. Stay here, with us. I know it's selfish, but I'm asking anyway. Leo needs you, I need you. Maya felt her heart breaking. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Grant said, his voice rising. It wasn't fair when Serena got sick. It wasn't fair when Leo lost his mother. And it's not fair that just when we find someone who makes us happy again, she's going to leave too. I haven't decided anything yet, Maya protested. But you're considering it, Grant insisted. After everything we've shared, you're still considering walking away. This isn't about walking away from you, Maya tried to explain. It's about walking towards something I've worked for my whole life. Daddy? Leo's small voice came from the doorway. He stood there, clutching his blanket, eyes wide with fear. Are you and Maya fighting? Grant immediately softened his tone. No, buddy. We're just having a grown-up discussion. Are you leaving? Leo asked Maya directly, his lower lip trembling. Maya knelt down to his level. I'm right here, right now. But Leo was too perceptive. But you might go away, like Mommy did. No, not like that, Maya assured him quickly. Your mom never wanted to leave you, and if I ever had to go somewhere, I would always come back to visit. Promise? Leo asked, his eyes serious. I promise, Maya said firmly. Grant watched the exchange, his expression torn between love and fear. Leo, why don't you go back to your movie? Maya and I need to talk a little more. Once Leo had reluctantly returned to the living room, Grant spoke in a controlled voice. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have reacted that way. This is your career, your future. You have every right to pursue it. But what about us? Maya asked. Is there still an us if I take this job? Grant ran a hand over his face. I don't know. I want to say yes, that we could make it work long distance. But I've tried that before with Serena when she had to go to Houston for treatment. Being apart when you're trying to build something, it's hard. So that's it? If I take the job, we're over before we've really begun? I didn't say that, Grant replied. I need time to think. This is all happening so fast. Maya nodded, feeling numb. I should go. You need to be with Leo right now. Maya, wait. It's okay, she said, gathering her purse. Take your time. I have until Friday to give them my answer anyway. As she walked to the door, Grant called after her. For what it's worth, I meant what I said last night. I am falling in love with you. Maya paused, her hand on the doorknob. I'm falling in love with you too. That's what makes this so hard. The next 3 days were agony. Maya didn't hear from Grant. Though she knew he was dealing with Leo's anxiety and preparing for Mother's Day, she threw herself into helping Tasha with a catering job, grateful for the distraction. On Thursday evening, her phone finally rang with Grant's number. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice subdued. "In person." They agreed to meet at a park halfway between their homes. When Maya arrived, Grant was already there, sitting on a bench overlooking a small pond. "How's Leo?" she asked as she sat beside him, keeping a careful distance. "Better," Grant replied. "His therapist suggested we create our own Mother's Day tradition. We're going to release balloons at Serena's favorite spot in the botanical garden." "That sounds beautiful," Maya said softly. Grant nodded, then turned to face her. "I've been thinking about what you said, about this being your dream job, about how we've only known each other for a short time." Maya held her breath, waiting. "You were right," he continued. "It wasn't fair of me to ask you to stay, to put that kind of pressure on you." "Grant, please let me finish," he said gently. "When Serena died, I promised myself I would raise Leo to be brave, to follow his dreams, even when it was scary. What kind of example would I be setting if I asked you to give up yours?" Tears filled Maya's eyes. "So you're saying I should take the job?" "I'm saying you should do what feels right for you," Grant replied. "And if that means going to San Francisco, then Leo and I will support your decision." "What about us?" Maya asked, her voice breaking. Grant took her hand. "I don't know what the future holds. Long-distance relationships are challenging, but I do know that what we've found is rare. I'm willing to try if you are." Relief washed over Maya. "I am. I definitely am." They sat together as the sun began to set, discussing possibilities. Weekend visits, video calls with Leo, meeting halfway in places like Denver or Chicago. "It won't be easy," Grant acknowledged. "But nothing worth having ever is." As they walked back to their cars, Grant pulled Maya close. "Whatever you decide, I want you to know that you've already changed our lives for the better. You gave Leo back his laugh. You gave me back hope." Maya kissed him, pouring all her conflicted emotions into the embrace. "I'll call you tomorrow after I speak with Vanessa." That night, Maya barely slept. She weighed the opportunity against what she would be leaving behind. By morning, she had made her decision. She called Vanessa Chen precisely at 9 a.m. "I've given your offer a lot of thought," she began. "And," Vanessa prompted, "I'm deeply honored, but I need to ask, is there any possibility of working remotely, at least part of the time? I have personal reasons for wanting to remain in Atlanta." There was a pause on the line. "Actually, we've been considering opening a small satellite office in Atlanta. The publishing market there is growing, and we want to establish a presence in the Southeast." Maya's heart leaped. "Are you saying I could work from Atlanta?" "Not full-time, no," Vanessa clarified. "You'd need to spend at least 1 week per month in San Francisco for meetings and strategy sessions. But yes, you could be based in Atlanta. Would that work for you?" "Yes," Maya said, her voice steady and sure. "That would work perfectly." After hanging up, Maya immediately called Grant. When he didn't answer, she decided to surprise him with the news in person. She took a bus to his neighborhood and walked the final blocks, practicing what she would say. As she approached his house, she saw an unfamiliar car in the driveway, a sleek silver sports car that looked expensive and new. Maya hesitated, suddenly uncertain. Before she could decide whether to continue or come back later, the front door opened. A tall, elegant woman with stylishly cut blonde hair emerged, followed by Grant. They appeared to be in the middle of an intense conversation. Maya ducked behind a large oak tree, feeling foolish but unable to make herself known. From her hiding place, she could hear snippets of their exchange. "You can't keep avoiding this discussion, Grant," the woman was saying. "Leo needs stability." "He has stability," Grant replied firmly. "Does he? Because that's not what my lawyers will say," the woman countered. "A grieving single father who works 60 hours a week, compared to a 2-parent household with a stay-at-home mother?" Grant's voice hardened. "Is that a threat, Catherine?" The woman, Catherine, softened her tone. "It doesn't have to be. We can work this out amicably. For Leo's sake." "I need to think," Grant said. "This isn't a decision I can make on the spot." Catherine placed a hand on his arm. "Of course. Take the weekend. We'll talk Monday." She kissed his cheek before getting into her car and driving away. Grant stood watching her leave, his posture rigid with tension. Maya stepped out from behind the tree, feeling like an intruder. "Grant?" He spun around, startled. "Maya, how long have you been there?" "I just arrived," she lied. "I wanted to surprise you with my decision about the job." She paused, uncertain now. "Who was that woman?" Grant's expression was troubled. Catherine Reynolds, Serena's sister. Oh, Maya said, not understanding the tension she had witnessed. She seemed upset. Grant sighed heavily. It's complicated. Let's go inside. In the living room, Grant paced while Maya sat on the couch, waiting for an explanation. Catherine and her husband want custody of Leo, he finally said. Maya gasped. What? Why? You're his father. They think they can give him a more traditional family environment, Grant explained bitterly. 2 parents, siblings, a mother figure. They've been hinting at this for months, but today Catherine made it clear they're prepared to go to court if necessary. Can they do that? Maya asked, horrified. They can try, Grant said. They have money and influence. Catherine's husband is a state senator with political aspirations. Having a motherless nephew doesn't fit their perfect family image, so they want to help by taking him. That's terrible, Maya said. Leo belongs with you. Anyone can see how much you love him. Grant sat beside her, suddenly looking exhausted. The timing couldn't be worse. With Leo's anxiety resurfacing, it gives them ammunition. Maya took his hand. What are you going to do? Fight, of course, Grant said firmly. Leo is my son. I would die before I let anyone take him from me. Maya squeezed his hand. I'll help any way I can. Grant looked at her with surprise. What about San Francisco? That's what I came to tell you, Maya explained. I took the job, but I negotiated. I'll be working primarily from Atlanta, with just 1 week a month in San Francisco. For the first time since she'd arrived, Grant smiled. You're staying? I'm staying, Maya confirmed. And now I'm even more glad that I am. You shouldn't have to face this alone. Grant pulled her into a tight embrace. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do, Maya said firmly. And so does Leo. We'll get through this together. What Maya didn't say was how worried she was. Grant's situation was far more complicated than she had realized. A custody battle would be stressful and expensive, and where would she fit into all of this? Would her presence help or hurt Grant's case? The Catherine she had glimpsed seemed formidable and determined, and she had referred to a 2-parent household as if she already had a replacement mother lined up for Leo. As Maya held Grant, she couldn't shake the feeling that their challenges were just beginning. The road ahead would test not only their new relationship, but also Grant's resolve to keep his family intact. What neither of them knew was that Catherine Reynolds had seen Maya from her rearview mirror. The elegant woman had immediately recognized her as a potential complication in her plans for Leo, and Catherine Reynolds was not someone who tolerated complications. Across town, in her perfectly decorated home, Catherine picked up her phone and dialed a number. It's me, she said when the call connected. I need you to find out everything you can about a woman named Maya Ellis. She's involved with Grant, and I need to know if she's going to be a problem. The battle for Leo's future had begun, and Maya had just placed herself squarely in the middle of it. Ms. Ellis, we're so excited to have you joining our team, Vanessa Chen said, guiding Maya through the bright modern offices of Horizon Publishing's new Atlanta satellite location. Your office is small, but it has a nice view. Maya smiled as she stepped into the space that would be hers, a compact but well-appointed office with large windows overlooking Peachtree Street. After weeks of sleeping on Tasha's couch, having her own professional space felt like a miracle. It's perfect, she assured Vanessa. I can't thank you enough for accommodating my request to work from Atlanta. Talented people are worth being flexible for, Vanessa replied. Though I expect you'll be fully prepared for your week in San Francisco next month, the executive team is eager to meet you. I'll be ready, Maya promised. As she settled into her new desk, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Grant. Good luck on your first day. Leo wants to make you a celebration dinner tonight. Is 6:30 okay? The message made Maya smile. In the 2 weeks since she'd accepted the job and learned about Catherine's custody threat, she had spent most evenings at Grant's house, helping with Leo and discussing strategies for the upcoming legal battle. 6:30 is perfect, she texted back. Can't wait to see you both. Maya threw herself into her first day, meeting colleagues and learning about the book she would be marketing. By 5:30, she was exhausted but exhilarated. This was everything she had dreamed of, creative work promoting stories that mattered. When she arrived at Grant's house that evening, she found the dining room decorated with handmade signs saying, "Congratulations, Maya," and "We're proud of you." Leo ran to her immediately, hugging her waist. "We made lasagna," he announced proudly, "and I helped. It smells amazing," Maya told him, following him to the kitchen where Grant was removing a bubbling dish from the oven. Grant looked up with a warm smile. "Welcome home. How was the first day?" The word home made Maya's heart skip. Over the past weeks, Grant's house had indeed started to feel like home. She had brought over more of her belongings from Tasha's apartment and had even started keeping a toothbrush in Grant's bathroom. "It was wonderful," she replied, accepting his kiss. "Busy, but exactly what I hoped for." They enjoyed dinner together, with Leo chattering excitedly about his day at school. Maya noticed he seemed more animated than usual, less weighed down by sadness. After Leo went to bed, Grant opened a bottle of wine and joined Maya on the couch. "I heard from my lawyer today," he said, his expression growing serious. "Catherine and Richard have officially filed for custody." Maya's happiness deflated. "Already? I thought they were giving you until Monday to respond to their proposal." "Apparently that was just for show," Grant said bitterly. "They probably filed the paperwork last week. The hearing is set for next month." "What did your lawyer say?" Grant took a long sip of wine. "That I need to be prepared for a fight. Catherine has hired Diane Powell." "Who's that?" "Only the most ruthless family attorney in Georgia," Grant explained. "She specializes in taking children from single fathers and giving them to traditional families." Maya felt sick. "But that's so wrong. You're an amazing father." "That may not matter," Grant said grimly. "Powell will dig into every aspect of my life looking for ammunition. My work hours, Leo's therapy sessions, any sign that he's not thriving under my care." "But he is thriving," Maya insisted. "Anyone who spends time with him can see that." Grant set down his glass. "There's something else. My lawyer thinks they might use you against me." Maya sat up straighter. "Me? How?" "To suggest that I'm bringing unstable elements into Leo's life. A new relationship so soon after his mother's death. Someone without roots or financial stability." The words stung, though Maya knew Grant was just relaying his lawyer's concerns. "What does that mean for us?" she asked quietly. Grant reached for her hand. "It means we need to be careful. Maybe not flaunt our relationship in public until after the hearing." "You want to hide me?" Maya asked, pulling her hand away. "No, that's not what I meant," Grant said quickly. "I just want to be strategic. Catherine will use anything she can against me." Maya stood up, suddenly needing space. "So I'm a liability to you now?" Grant rose as well, his expression pained. "You know that's not how I see you. I'm just trying to protect Leo, by keeping me in the shadows, by treating our relationship like something shameful." "Maya, please try to understand. This isn't about us. It's about making sure I don't lose my son." The raw fear in his voice penetrated Maya's hurt. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to think beyond her injured pride. "You're right," she said finally. "Leo has to come first. What do you need me to do?" Relief washed over Grant's face. "Just be patient. The hearing will be over in a few weeks, and then we can go back to normal." Maya nodded, though a voice inside wondered what normal would look like after all this. Would Grant always feel he had to choose between her and Leo? Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into her new job, impressing her colleagues with her creative marketing ideas. She spent evenings at Grant's house, helping Leo with homework and providing emotional support as Grant prepared for the custody hearing. Though they were careful not to show affection in public, their private moments were tender and passionate. Maya found herself falling deeper in love with both Grant and Leo, imagining a future where they could be a family without fear or restraint. Then came the week she had to travel to San Francisco. "It's only 5 days," she assured Grant the night before her departure. "I'll call every night to say goodnight to Leo." "We'll miss you," Grant said, holding her close. "The house feels empty when you're not here." "Then maybe when I get back we should talk about me not having to leave," Maya suggested cautiously. Grant pulled back to look at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe I should move in. Officially. Most of my things are here anyway, and Tasha's been patient, but she could use her couch back." Grant's expression was unreadable. "What about the custody hearing?" "My lawyer said—" "Your lawyer said not to flaunt our relationship in public," Maya reminded him. "This would be a private decision. And besides, the hearing is just a week after I get back. It would be too late for Catherine to use it against you." Grant looked torn. "I want that too, Maya. But maybe we should wait until after the hearing, just to be safe." Maya swallowed her disappointment. "Of course, that makes sense." The next morning, Grant and Leo drove her to the airport. Leo clung to her when it was time to say goodbye. "Promise you'll come back," he whispered, his small face serious. "I promise," Maya assured him. 5 days will go by so fast you'll hardly notice I'm gone." Grant embraced her last, kissing her forehead since they were in public. "Call when you land. We love you." It was the first time he had said those words, and Maya held them close during the long flight to California. San Francisco was beautiful, and the Horizon Publishing headquarters impressive. Maya's presentations were well received, and Vanessa introduced her to important contacts in the industry. Under different circumstances, she would have been ecstatic, but her thoughts remained in Atlanta, with the man and child who had become her world in such a short time. Each night, she called to speak with Leo before his bedtime, and later with Grant, who sounded increasingly stressed as the custody hearing approached. On her third day in San Francisco, Maya was having lunch with Vanessa when her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. "Excuse me, I should take this," she said, stepping away from the table. "Hello? Is this Maya Ellis?" a woman's cultured voice asked. "Yes. Who's calling?" "This is Catherine Reynolds. I believe we have a mutual acquaintance." Maya nearly dropped her phone. Serena's sister, the woman trying to take Leo away from Grant. "How did you get my number?" Maya asked, her voice tight. "That's not important," Catherine replied smoothly. "What matters is that we need to talk about Grant and Leo." Maya glanced back at Vanessa, who was checking emails on her phone. "I have nothing to say to you." "I think you do," Catherine countered, "especially when what I have to say could save everyone a lot of pain." Despite her better judgment, Maya was intrigued. "I'm listening." "Not over the phone," Catherine said. "I'll be in San Francisco tomorrow for a fundraiser. Meet me at the St. Regis Hotel, 2 o'clock. "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm offering a solution that benefits everyone, including you." Catherine's voice turned pointed. "Unless you don't care what happens to Leo." The line went dead before Maya could respond. She stood frozen, phone in hand, until Vanessa called to her. "Maya, everything okay?" "Fine," Maya lied, returning to the table. "Just a friend with some news." That night, she didn't mention Catherine's call to Grant. He was already anxious enough about the hearing, and she wanted more information before worrying him further. The next day, Maya made an excuse to leave the office early and took a taxi to the St. Regis. The opulent lobby made her feel instantly underdressed in her simple work clothes. Catherine Reynolds was waiting in the lounge, looking like she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her navy suit obviously expensive. She smiled coolly as Maya approached. "Miss Ellis, thank you for coming. Please sit down." Maya remained standing. "What do you want?" Catherine sighed. "So hostile. I'm trying to help, believe it or not." "Help who? Yourself? Because from where I stand, you're trying to take a child away from his loving father." "Please sit," Catherine insisted. "What I have to say will take a few minutes." Reluctantly, Maya sat in the chair across from her. A waiter appeared, and Catherine ordered tea for both of them without asking Maya's preference. "I understand how this looks to an outsider," Catherine began once they were alone. "The wealthy sister-in-law swooping in to steal a child, but there's more to the story than Grant has told you." "Like what?" Maya asked skeptically. "Like the fact that my sister made me promise to look after Leo if anything happened to her," Catherine said, her voice softening slightly. "Serena knew how demanding Grant's work is, how little time he has for Leo." "That's not true," Maya objected. "Grant is devoted to Leo." Catherine raised an eyebrow. "Is he? Then why does the boy spend more time with nannies and after-school programs than with his father? Why has he been in therapy for 3 years? Why did he have a panic attack at school just a few weeks ago?" Maya felt her face flush. "How do you know about that?" "I make it my business to know everything about my nephew's welfare," Catherine replied, "just as I make it my business to know about the people in his life." She gave Maya a pointed look. "Like you." A chill ran down Maya's spine. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I know you lost your job in Chicago. I know you were essentially homeless when you met Grant. I know you're now working for a publishing company that could send you to California permanently at any time." Catherine leaned forward. "What I don't know is why you're inserting yourself into a fragile family situation that has nothing to do with you." Maya fought to keep her voice steady. "My relationship with Grant and Leo is none of your business. It becomes my business when it affects my nephew," Catherine countered. "Leo is already struggling with the loss of his mother. The last thing he needs is to grow attached to another woman who might disappear from his life." The word struck a nerve. Maya had worried about the same thing herself. "I'm not going anywhere," she said firmly. "Really?" Catherine's smile was cold. "That's not what your boss thinks." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. "What are you talking about?" Catherine pulled out her phone and placed it on the table between them. "Listen." She pressed play on a recording. Vanessa Chen's voice filled the air. "Maya has tremendous potential. Once she completes her training period, we plan to bring her to San Francisco full-time. Her talent would be wasted in a satellite office. The recording ended, and Catherine put the phone away. Interesting, isn't it? Not what she told you, I imagine. Maya struggled to maintain her composure. How did you get that? My husband has connections, Catherine said dismissively. The point is, your situation in Atlanta isn't as stable as you've led Grant to believe. You'll be leaving eventually, breaking Leo's heart all over again. You don't know that, Maya insisted, though doubt had begun to creep in. Had Vanessa been honest with her about the long-term plan? Here's my proposal, Catherine continued as if Maya hadn't spoken. Walk away now before the custody hearing. If you do, I'll ensure that Grant gets generous visitation rights. Leo will spend holidays and summers with his father. Everyone wins. Maya stared at her in disbelief. And if I don't? Catherine's expression hardened. Then my lawyers will expose every aspect of Grant's life in court, including his relationship with an unstable woman he's known for less than 3 months. We'll petition for limited, supervised visitation only. Leo will come live with me and Richard, where he'll have stability, siblings, and a mother figure who isn't going to abandon him for a career opportunity. That's blackmail, Maya said, her voice shaking with anger. It's a choice, Catherine corrected, one that puts Leo's needs first. Isn't that what you and Grant both claim to want? Before Maya could respond, a well-dressed man approached their table. Catherine, darling, we're going to be late for the fundraiser. Catherine stood, smoothing her skirt. Richard, this is Maya Ellis, Grant's friend. Richard Reynolds looked Maya over with barely concealed disdain. Ah, yes, the unemployed poet. My wife has mentioned you. I'm not unemployed, Maya said stiffly. I work for Horizon Publishing. For now, Catherine said with a pointed look. Think about my offer, Maya. For everyone's sake. She handed Maya a business card. Call me when you've made the right decision. As the couple walked away, Maya remained frozen in her seat, the untouched tea growing cold before her. Catherine's words echoed in her mind, along with the recording of Vanessa. Was she really setting herself and Leo up for more heartbreak? That night, Maya called Grant as usual, but couldn't bring herself to mention the meeting with Catherine. Instead, she listened as he talked about preparations for the hearing, her mind spinning with impossible choices. One more day, Grant said at the end of the call. Then you'll be home. Home. The word that had once filled her with warmth, now twisted like a knife. Where was her home, really? And what damage would she cause by claiming it was with Grant and Leo? The next day, her final meetings at Horizon headquarters went by in a blur. She couldn't focus, couldn't stop thinking about Catherine's ultimatum. On the flight back to Atlanta, she stared out the window, remembering the first time she had seen Grant on that other plane, the moment their eyes had met. How had something that began with such a simple act of kindness become so complicated? Grant and Leo were waiting at the arrival gate, Leo holding a handmade sign that read, "Welcome home, Maya." The sight of them, the two people she had come to love more than anything, made tears spring to her eyes. Leo ran to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You came back, just like you promised." "Of course I did," Maya said, her voice thick with emotion as she hugged him tightly. Grant embraced them both, kissing her hair. "We missed you so much." The drive home was filled with Leo's excited chatter about school and the custody hearing. "Daddy says I have to wear a tie to court," he explained from the back seat, "and answer questions about where I want to live." Maya glanced at Grant, who kept his eyes on the road. "I didn't know Leo would have to testify. The judge wants to speak with him privately," Grant explained. "It's standard procedure in custody cases." "I'm going to tell them I want to stay with Daddy," Leo announced confidently. "And with you too, Maya." Grant's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Buddy, remember what we talked about? The judge just wants to know about living with me, not about Maya." Leo's face fell. "But Maya's part of our family now, isn't she?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. Later that night, after Leo was asleep, Grant and Maya sat in the living room, the tension between them palpable. "I'm sorry about what Leo said in the car," Grant began. "I've been trying to prepare him for the hearing without scaring him." "It's okay," Maya said, though it wasn't. "Grant, there's something I need to tell you, something that happened in San Francisco." She described the meeting with Catherine and Richard, the recording of Vanessa, and the ultimatum she had been given. Grant listened in shocked silence. "Why didn't you tell me right away?" he asked when she finished. "I needed time to think," Maya admitted, "to figure out what to do." Grant stood abruptly, pacing the room. "This is exactly like Catherine, using manipulation and threats to get what she wants." "But what if she's right?" Maya asked quietly. "What if my presence in your lives is making things worse, making it easier for her to take Leo?" Grant stopped pacing to look at her. "Do you believe that?" I don't know what to believe anymore, Maya said honestly. I love you both so much. The thought of causing you to lose Leo is unbearable. Grant knelt before her, taking her hands. Listen to me. Catherine is trying to divide us because she knows together we're stronger. If you walk away now, she wins. But the recording, Maya protested. Vanessa clearly has plans to move me to San Francisco permanently. Have you asked her about it directly? No, I haven't had the chance. Then that's the first step, Grant said firmly. Don't make decisions based on Catherine's manipulations. We need facts. Maya nodded, though anxiety still churned in her stomach. The hearing is in 4 days. What if I talk to Vanessa and it turns out Catherine was telling the truth? What then? Grant's expression was troubled. Then we'll face that together. But Maya, no matter what happens with the hearing or your job, I want you in my life, in our lives, even if it means losing Leo. Maya whispered the fear that had been haunting her. I'm not going to lose Leo, Grant said with quiet determination. No judge who sees how much I love my son would take him away from me. Catherine is counting on intimidation because she knows her case is weak. Maya wished she could share his confidence, but Catherine Reynolds had seemed very sure of herself at the St. Regis. The next morning, Maya went to work early to speak with Vanessa. Her boss was surprised by the direct question about long-term plans. Where did you hear that? Vanessa asked, frowning. It doesn't matter, Maya replied. Is it true? Are you planning to bring me to San Francisco permanently after my training period? Vanessa sighed. It was discussed as a possibility, yes. You have talents that would be valuable at headquarters, but nothing has been decided, and we agreed you would work primarily from Atlanta. I stand by that arrangement. For how long? Maya pressed. For at least the first year, Vanessa said carefully. After that, we'll reassess based on company needs and your performance. It wasn't the definitive answer Maya had hoped for, but it wasn't as dire as Catherine had implied either. She had at least a year in Atlanta, a year to figure things out with Grant and Leo. When she relayed this to Grant that evening, he seemed relieved. A year is a long time. By then, the custody issue will be resolved one way or another. And what about us? Maya asked. Where do you see us in a year? Grant took her hand, his expression serious. I see us together, Maya. Whether that means you living here, or us finding a new place that feels like ours instead of just mine, I want to build a life with you. It was everything Maya wanted to hear, but Catherine's warnings still echoed in her mind. And if I eventually have to move to San Francisco, what then? Then we'll figure it out, Grant promised. People make long-distance relationships work all the time. Or maybe I could expand my company to the West Coast. There are options, Maya, as long as we're committed to finding them together. Maya wished she could fully embrace his optimism, but as the custody hearing approached, her anxiety only grew. The day before the hearing, Maya was at work when her phone rang with Grant's number. Maya, his voice was tight with barely contained panic. Leo's missing. What? Maya gripped her desk to steady herself. What do you mean, missing? He wasn't at the pickup spot after school, Grant explained, his words coming fast. The teacher said someone already picked him up, someone on the approved list. But it wasn't me or Mrs. Jenkins. A terrible suspicion formed in Maya's mind. Catherine? That's what I thought too. But I called her and she claims she hasn't seen him. The school is checking the security footage now. I'm on my way, Maya said, already grabbing her purse. Have you called the police? Yes. They're treating it as a possible custody dispute, Grant said. I'm at the school now. Can you go to the house in case he shows up there? Of course, I'll call you if I hear anything. Maya rushed to Grant's house, her heart pounding with fear. The house was empty, no sign of Leo. She paced anxiously, calling Grant every few minutes for updates. An hour later, her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Hello, she answered desperately. Maya, it's Leo. Leo? Relief flooded through her. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm at Aunt Catherine's house, the boy replied, his voice small. She picked me up from school. She said it was a surprise for Daddy, but now she won't let me call him. Maya's relief turned to anger. How are you calling me? I found Aunt Catherine's phone when she was talking to Uncle Richard. I remembered your number because Daddy made me memorize it for emergencies. You did exactly the right thing, Maya assured him. Is your aunt nearby now? No, she's downstairs. I'm hiding in the guest room. Leo, listen carefully. I'm going to tell your dad where you are. Stay where you are, and we'll come get you right away. Okay, but hurry, Leo whispered. I don't like it here. They keep saying bad things about Daddy. The line went dead and Maya immediately called Grant. He's at Catherine's house, she told him. He just called me from her phone. She took him from school. Grant's voice was cold with fury. "I'm calling the police. Meet me there." Maya arrived at Catherine's impressive mansion just as Grant pulled up with 2 police officers. They approached the front door together, the officers flanking them. Catherine answered, her expression a mask of innocence that changed to alarm when she saw the police. "What's going on? Where's my son?" Grant demanded. "I don't know what you're talking about," Catherine began, but was interrupted by Leo calling from inside the house. "Daddy? Maya!" The little boy ran past Catherine to throw himself into Grant's arms. Grant held him tightly, his eyes closed in relief. "Mr. Langston reported his son missing from school," one officer explained to Catherine. "The school confirmed someone on the approved pickup list took him without authorization." Catherine's composure slipped. "I am on the approved list. I'm his aunt. I was just giving him a break from all the pre-hearing stress." "Without informing his father?" the officer asked skeptically. "It was meant to be a surprise," Catherine insisted. "A special afternoon with his aunt and uncle. Right, Leo?" Leo buried his face in Grant's shoulder, refusing to look at her. "You had no right to take him," Grant said, his voice shaking with anger. "Especially not the day before the hearing." Richard appeared behind his wife. "Catherine, what's going on? Why are the police here?" The second officer stepped forward. "Sir, your wife removed a child from school without proper authorization from his legal guardian. That's a serious matter." Richard's face darkened. "This is all a misunderstanding. We would never—" "Save it for the judge," Grant interrupted. "I'm sure he'll be very interested to hear about this at the hearing tomorrow." Catherine's confident facade crumbled. "Grant, please. I was just trying to give Leo some time in a real family environment before the hearing, to show him how much better his life could be with us." "By kidnapping him?" Maya asked incredulously. "How is that supposed to help your case?" "This isn't kidnapping," Richard objected. "Catherine is family." "Tell that to Leo," Grant said, nodding to his son who was still clinging to him in fear. "We're leaving now, and if you ever try something like this again, I'll press charges." As they walked back to their cars, one of the officers pulled Grant aside. "Sir, do you want to file a report about this incident?" Grant looked at Leo, then back at the officer. "Yes, and I want it on record before our custody hearing tomorrow." That night, Leo refused to leave Grant's side, even sleeping in his father's bed instead of his own. Maya stayed over, making Leo's favorite dinner and trying to reassure him that he was safe. When Leo finally fell asleep, Grant joined Maya in the living room, his face haggard with exhaustion. "I can't believe she would go this far," he said, collapsing onto the couch. "She's desperate," Maya replied, "which means she knows her case is weak." Grant ran a hand over his face. "My lawyer says this incident could completely discredit her petition. No judge would look favorably on someone who takes a child without permission." "So this might actually help us?" Maya asked cautiously. "It might," Grant agreed, "but it also shows how far Catherine is willing to go. I won't feel safe until the hearing is over, and Leo is legally secure with me." Maya sat beside him, taking his hand. "Whatever happens tomorrow, I'll be right there with you." Grant looked at her with tired eyes filled with love. "I don't know what I would have done without you these past months. You've been my rock. And you've been mine," Maya said softly. "When I got on that plane from Chicago, I thought my life was over. Instead, it was just beginning." They held each other close, drawing strength for the battle ahead. Tomorrow would determine not just Leo's future, but all of theirs. And despite Catherine's manipulations and threats, Maya was no longer afraid. She knew where she belonged, right here, with the family that fate had given her when she least expected it. What she didn't know was that Catherine Reynolds had one last card to play, one that could destroy everything they had built together. The morning of the custody hearing dawned bright and clear. Maya woke early, finding Grant already dressed in his best suit, sitting at the edge of Leo's bed watching his son sleep. "Did you get any rest at all?" she asked softly, touching his shoulder. Grant shook his head. "Not really. I keep thinking about what Catherine might try next." "The police report about yesterday will help your case," Maya reminded him. "No judge would give custody to someone who took Leo without permission." "I hope you're right," Grant said, standing to embrace her. "Thank you for being here through all of this." Leo stirred and opened his eyes, immediately looking anxious until he saw both Grant and Maya in the room. "Is it court day?" "Yes, buddy," Grant replied, sitting back down beside him. "But remember what we talked about? You just need to answer the judge's questions honestly. There are no wrong answers." Leo nodded solemnly. "I just tell him I want to stay with you." "You tell him whatever is in your heart," Grant corrected gently. "That's all that matters." While Grant helped Leo get dressed in his small suit, Maya prepared breakfast, though none of them had much appetite. The doorbell rang as she was clearing the dishes. "That's probably Mrs. Jenkins," Grant said, referring to their neighbor who had offered to drive with them for moral support. "Can you get it?" Maya opened the door to find not Mrs. Jenkins, but a tall, stern-looking woman in an expensive business suit. "Maya Ellis?" the woman asked crisply. "Yes. Who are you?" "Diane Powell, attorney for Catherine and Richard Reynolds." She held out an envelope. "This is for you." Maya took the envelope cautiously. "What is it?" "A subpoena. You're being called as a witness in today's hearing." Powell's smile was cold. "I look forward to your testimony." Before Maya could respond, the attorney turned and walked back to a sleek black car waiting at the curb. Grant appeared behind Maya. "Who was that?" "Catherine's lawyer," Maya said, her voice unsteady as she held up the envelope. "She's calling me as a witness." Grant's face paled. "Let me see that." He scanned the document quickly, his expression growing more troubled with each line. "This is a desperate move. They're going to try to use you to prove I'm an unfit father." "Can they do that?" Maya asked. "They can try," Grant replied grimly. "My lawyer warned me they might pull something like this." Leo appeared in the hallway, tugging at his tie. "Daddy, is something wrong?" Grant quickly composed his expression. "Nothing's wrong, buddy. Just some paperwork for the hearing. Are you ready to go?" As they drove to the courthouse, Maya's mind raced with worries. What would Catherine's lawyer ask her? How could she protect Grant and Leo without perjuring herself? She wasn't ashamed of her relationship with Grant, but she knew how things could be twisted to seem inappropriate. The courthouse was imposing, its marble columns and high ceilings designed to intimidate. Grant's lawyer, Michael Hernandez, met them at the entrance. He was younger than Maya had expected, but his handshake was firm and his eyes sharp with intelligence. "I just heard about the subpoena," he said to Maya. "It's a classic Powell tactic, throwing in a last-minute witness to unsettle the opposition." "What should I do?" Maya asked anxiously. "Tell the truth," Hernandez advised, "but keep your answers brief. Don't volunteer information beyond what's specifically asked." In the hallway outside the courtroom, they spotted Catherine and Richard with their attorney. Catherine was dressed conservatively in a pale blue suit that made her look both maternal and professional. When she saw Maya, her lips curved in a smug smile. "She's enjoying this," Maya whispered to Grant. "She thinks she's won." "She hasn't," Grant said firmly, though Maya could feel the tension in his body. The courtroom was smaller than Maya had imagined, with worn wooden benches and fluorescent lighting that cast everyone in an unflattering glow. The judge, an older man with silver hair and reading glasses, called the court to order promptly at 9 a.m. "This is a custody hearing regarding Leo Langston, age 6, he announced. "I understand the petitioners are Catherine and Richard Reynolds, the child's maternal aunt and uncle, and the respondent is Grant Langston, the child's father." Both attorneys confirmed this information. "Before we begin formal proceedings," the judge continued, "I'd like to speak with the child in my chambers. This is standard procedure in custody cases." Leo looked up at Grant with frightened eyes. Grant knelt beside him. "It's okay, buddy. The judge just wants to talk to you privately. I'll be right here when you're done." "Can Maya come too?" Leo asked in a small voice. The judge shook his head. "Just you and me, young man, and my clerk, Miss Williams. She's very nice." Leo reluctantly followed the judge and a friendly-looking woman through a side door. The remaining adults sat in tense silence until they returned 15 minutes later. Leo immediately ran to Grant, who embraced him tightly. "You did great," Grant whispered, though he had no way of knowing what Leo had said. The judge settled back behind the bench. "Now I'll hear opening statements from both parties." Diane Powell went first, painting a picture of Catherine and Richard as devoted relatives who could provide Leo with the traditional family environment he deserved. She emphasized their financial stability, their 2 daughters who would be loving sisters to Leo, and Catherine's status as a stay-at-home mother. "Most importantly, Your Honor," Powell concluded, "Mrs. Reynolds was explicitly asked by her dying sister to care for Leo if anything happened. She is fulfilling not just a legal obligation, but a sacred promise." Michael Hernandez's opening statement focused on Grant's unwavering commitment to his son. He detailed Grant's efforts to work from home 3 days a week, to be present for Leo, the quality time they spent together, and Leo's strong attachment to his father. "And regarding yesterday's incident," Hernandez added, "I'd like to submit this police report documenting that Mrs. Reynolds removed Leo from school without Mr. Langston's knowledge or permission, causing considerable distress to the child." The judge accepted the report with a frown. "I'll take this into consideration. Let's proceed with witness testimony." Catherine was called first. Under Powell's gentle questioning, she spoke tearfully about her sister's illness and final wishes. Serena knew Grant would be overwhelmed as a single father. She asked me to step in if Leo ever needed a mother's care, which he clearly does now. Hernandez's cross-examination was respectful but firm. Mrs. Reynolds, if you care so deeply about your nephew's welfare, why did you remove him from school without his father's permission, causing him significant distress? Catherine's composure slipped slightly. I wanted Leo to spend time with his cousins before the hearing, to remind him of what a complete family feels like. And did you consider how frightening it would be for a 6-year-old to be taken from school unexpectedly? Or how terrified his father was when he couldn't find his son? Objection, Your Honor, Powell interjected. Counsel is badgering the witness. I'll rephrase, Hernandez said smoothly. Mrs. Reynolds, did Leo appear happy and comfortable at your home yesterday? Catherine hesitated. He was a bit quiet, but children often need time to adjust to new environments. So quiet that he had to hide and secretly call Miss Ellis for help, that he begged to be taken home to his father? Catherine's face flushed. He was confused. Grant has poisoned him against us. The judge intervened. That's enough, Mr. Hernandez. Mrs. Reynolds, you may step down. Richard Reynolds testified next, focusing on his financial stability and the educational opportunities he could provide for Leo. Grant followed, speaking passionately about his love for his son and his commitment to honoring Serena's memory by raising Leo himself. Serena never asked Catherine to take Leo, Grant stated firmly. She asked her sister to be present in his life, to share memories of her, not to replace her or me. When Powell cross-examined Grant, her approach was aggressive. Mr. Langston, since your wife's death, you've buried yourself in work, haven't you? Often leaving Leo with nannies or in after-school programs? I've adjusted my schedule to be home with Leo as much as possible, Grant replied evenly. When I can't be there, I ensure he's with people he knows and trusts. People like Maya Ellis? Powell asked with a raised eyebrow. A woman you've known for less than 4 months? A woman with no permanent address who could leave Atlanta at any time for her job in San Francisco? Grant's jaw tightened. Maya has been nothing but positive in Leo's life. Yet you met her on an airplane and immediately brought her into your home around your impressionable child during a time of emotional vulnerability. Doesn't that show poor judgment as a parent? Objection, Hernandez called. Counsel is characterizing the witness's personal life in a prejudicial manner. Sustained, the judge agreed. Ms. Powell, stick to relevant facts, please. Powell changed tactics. Mr. Langston, Leo has been in therapy since his mother's death, correct? Yes, with Dr. Melissa Chen. She's excellent. And he recently had a panic attack at school, did he not? Grant nodded reluctantly. Yes, during a Mother's Day project. Dr. Chen says such reactions are normal for children processing grief. Normal perhaps, but indicative of ongoing emotional distress, Powell suggested. Distress that might be alleviated in a more stable, traditional home environment. When Grant was excused, the judge called a short recess. In the hallway, Maya approached Hernandez anxiously. They're going to call me next, aren't they? The lawyer nodded. Almost certainly. Remember what I said. Keep your answers brief and direct. Don't let Powell provoke you into saying more than necessary. Grant squeezed Maya's hand. You'll be fine. Just speak from your heart. When court resumed, Powell called Maya to the stand. After establishing her identity and relationship to Grant, the attorney's questions grew increasingly pointed. Ms. Ellis, you were essentially homeless when you met Mr. Langston, weren't you? Maya took a deep breath. I was between apartments, yes. In fact, you had lost your job in Chicago and could barely afford your plane ticket to Atlanta. Isn't that correct? Yes, Maya admitted, wondering how Catherine had learned these details. And within weeks of meeting Mr. Langston, a wealthy, vulnerable widower, you were spending nights at his home, around his impressionable young son. Maya felt her face flush. Our relationship developed naturally and appropriately. Leo's welfare was always our primary concern. Yet you've accepted a job that could take you to San Francisco permanently, despite knowing how attached Leo has become to you. Doesn't that show a lack of commitment to this child you claim to care about? Objection, Hernandez called. Ms. Ellis is not on trial here, nor is her career relevant to Mr. Langston's fitness as a parent. I'll allow it, the judge said. The witness's relationship with the child is pertinent. Maya looked directly at Powell. My job is primarily based in Atlanta. If circumstances change, Grant and I will work together to ensure Leo's needs come first. That's what families do. They adapt and support each other. Powell's eyes narrowed. So, You consider yourself part of Leo's family now, after knowing him for less than 4 months? Family isn't just about time, Maya replied steadily. It's about love, commitment, and showing up when someone needs you. Like when Leo called you from Mrs. Reynolds' house yesterday. Yes, Maya said simply. He was frightened and he reached out to someone he trusts. I'm grateful he felt he could call me. Powell changed direction. Ms. Ellis, did you meet with Catherine Reynolds in San Francisco last week? Maya hesitated, then nodded. Yes. And did she offer a compromise regarding Leo's custody? She gave me an ultimatum, Maya corrected. She said if I left Grant, she would allow him visitation with Leo. If I stayed, she would fight for full custody with limited supervised visits only. Murmurs filled the courtroom. The judge called for order. Are you suggesting Mrs. Reynolds tried to blackmail you? Powell asked incredulously. I'm stating what was said to me, Maya replied. Mrs. Reynolds believed removing me from Leo's life would somehow benefit him, despite the fact that he's grown attached to me. And yet, despite claiming to care about Leo's welfare, you chose to stay with Mr. Langston, potentially jeopardizing his relationship with his son. Maya looked directly at the judge. I chose to believe that the truth would matter more than manipulation or threats, that a good father wouldn't lose his son simply because he found love after loss. Powell had no further questions. Hernandez declined to cross-examine, recognizing that Maya had already spoken eloquently in Grant's defense. After all testimony concluded, the judge announced he would take a lunch break before making his decision. The 2 hours that followed were the longest of Maya's life. She, Grant, and Leo sat in a small conference room provided by Hernandez, picking at sandwiches none of them wanted. What if the judge believes Catherine? Leo asked suddenly, his small face serious. Will I have to live with her forever? Grant pulled his son onto his lap. Whatever happens, you will always be my son, and I will always be your dad. Nothing can change that. And Maya, Leo persisted. Will she still be part of our family? Maya knelt beside them, taking Leo's small hand. No matter what, I will always be there for you, Leo. Always. When they returned to the courtroom, Maya's heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Catherine and Richard sat confidently at their table, while Grant held Leo's hand tightly. The judge entered and called the court to order. After reviewing all testimony and evidence in this case, I'm prepared to render my decision. He looked over his glasses at the parties before him. Custody cases are never easy, particularly when all parties clearly care about the child in question. However, the court's primary concern must always be the best interest of that child. Maya held her breath as the judge continued. Mrs. Reynolds has argued that a traditional two-parent household would provide more stability for Leo. While there's merit to that argument in the abstract, the evidence presented today suggests that removing Leo from his father's care would cause significant emotional harm to an already vulnerable child. Catherine's face tightened as the judge went on. Mr. Langston has demonstrated consistent and loving care for his son since his wife's passing. He has provided appropriate therapy, maintained Leo's routine, and created a secure environment. The incident yesterday, where Mrs. Reynolds removed Leo from school without permission, shows concerning judgment that undermines her petition. The judge shuffled some papers before delivering his verdict. It is the finding of this court that primary physical and legal custody of Leo Langston shall remain with his father, Grant Langston. Leo let out a small cheer, quickly silenced by Grant's gentle hand on his shoulder. However, the judge continued, I do believe Leo benefits from maintaining a relationship with his maternal relatives. Therefore, Mrs. Reynolds shall be granted visitation 1 weekend per month and 1 week during summer break, provided these visits are conducted with Mr. Langston's knowledge and consent. Catherine stood abruptly. Your Honor, that's not enough time. Serena wanted... Mrs. Reynolds, the judge interrupted firmly. My decision is final. If you wish to appeal, that is your right, but I strongly encourage all parties to put aside their differences and focus on what Leo needs moving forward. With a bang of his gavel, the hearing was concluded. Leo threw his arms around Grant's neck while Maya stood nearby, tears of relief streaming down her face. Catherine stormed out of the courtroom, Richard hurrying after her. As Grant signed the final paperwork with Hernandez, Maya found herself alone in the hallway, emotionally drained but profoundly grateful. Ms. Ellis. Maya turned to find Catherine standing a few feet away, her perfect composure cracked to reveal raw anger and disappointment. I have nothing to say to you, Maya said quietly. You've won this round, Catherine acknowledged bitterly, but don't think this is over. Leo belongs with family. He is with family, Maya replied firmly. His father loves him more than anything in this world. If you truly care about Leo, you'll accept the judge's decision and find a way to be part of his life without trying to control it. Catherine's expression faltered. For a moment, Maya glimpsed genuine grief beneath the polished exterior. Serena was my only sister, Catherine said, her voice breaking slightly. Leo is all I have left of her. Understanding dawned on Maya. This was never really about what's best for Leo, was it? It was about holding on to Serena. Catherine didn't answer, but her silence was confirmation enough. Leo isn't Serena, Maya said gently, but he needs his aunt in his life. He needs your stories and memories of his mother. If you can find a way to offer that without trying to replace his father, you could be an important part of his life. Before Catherine could respond, Grant and Leo joined them. Catherine straightened, her mask slipping back into place. Congratulations, Grant, she said stiffly. I hope you'll honor the visitation schedule. I will, Grant assured her. Leo deserves to know his mother's family. Catherine nodded once, then walked away, her high heels clicking on the marble floor. Leo looked up at Grant. Do I really have to go to Aunt Catherine's house sometimes? Grant knelt to his son's level. Yes, buddy, but not for a while, and I promise it will be different next time. No more surprises or scary situations. Leo considered this, then nodded solemnly. Okay, can we go home now? I don't like wearing a tie. Grant laughed, the sound full of relief and joy. Yes, we can go home. 3 months later, Maya stood in Grant's kitchen. No, their kitchen now, preparing dinner while Leo set the table. She had officially moved in 6 weeks ago, after her first month-long job review had gone exceptionally well. Vanessa had assured her that her position in Atlanta was secure for the foreseeable future. Is it time yet? Leo asked, bouncing on his toes with excitement. Maya checked her watch. Almost. Dad should be home any minute. As if on cue, they heard Grant's key in the lock. Leo ran to greet him, nearly knocking him over with an enthusiastic hug. Whoa, buddy, Grant laughed, lifting Leo into his arms. What's got you so excited? Maya said we can't tell you until dinner, Leo said, wiggling to be put down. It's a surprise. Grant raised an eyebrow at Maya as he entered the kitchen. A surprise, huh? Maya smiled mysteriously. You'll have to wait and see. Dinner was Leo's favorite, spaghetti and meatballs, but he was too excited to eat much, watching Maya with expectant eyes. Finally, she nodded, and Leo raced to his room, returning with a large envelope. This is for you, Dad, he announced proudly, placing it beside Grant's plate. Grant opened it curiously, pulling out a thick manuscript. The title page read, The Seat That Changed Everything, by Maya Ellis. Your book, Grant breathed, looking up at Maya with wonder. You finished it. Maya nodded, her eyes shining. And Horizon wants to publish it. Vanessa called this morning to confirm. It's about us, Leo explained excitedly. About how you gave Maya your seat on the airplane and how we became a family. I helped with some parts. Grant flipped through the pages, his expression a mixture of pride and awe. Maya, this is incredible. There's something else, Maya said, her voice suddenly nervous. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, placing it on the table. Open it. Grant stared at the box. Maya, is this? Just open it, Leo urged, practically bouncing in his seat. Inside the box was a simple silver key on a chain, identical to the one Grant had given Maya at the restaurant months ago. I don't understand, Grant said, looking confused. You already have a key to the house. Maya took a deep breath. It's not a house key. It's the key to my old apartment in Chicago. I've been keeping it as a reminder of where I was when we met, lost, alone, feeling like my life was over. She reached for his hand. I want you to have it now as a symbol that I'm never going back to that life, that my home is here, with you and Leo, forever. Grant's eyes filled with tears. Maya, there's a note too, Leo reminded them, pointing to the manuscript. Grant turned to the dedication page and read aloud, To Grant and Leo, who gave me a seat in first class, but also something rarer, room to believe in myself again. I'll sit beside you for the rest of the journey. He looked up at Maya, his eyes full of love. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Leo suggested helpfully. Grant laughed. Yes to what, buddy? To marrying Maya, of course, Leo said with the matter-of-fact confidence of a child. That's what the key means, right? Maya and Grant exchanged surprised looks, then burst into laughter. Actually, I was saving that question for a more romantic moment, Grant admitted. Maybe when we weren't covered in spaghetti sauce. Is that a proposal? Maya asked, her heart suddenly racing. Grant got up and came around the table, taking her hands and pulling her to her feet. Not yet, but soon. If that's something you'd want, it's something I'd want more than anything, Maya whispered. Leo tugged at both their hands. So are you getting married or not? I already told my teacher you would be my new mum. Grant knelt down to his son's level. Leo, these things take time. Maya and I love each other very much, but why wait? Maya interrupted, surprising herself. Life is short, Grant. You taught me that. We don't need fancy proposals or long engagements. We just need each other. Grant stood slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying yes, Maya replied simply. To whatever question you were planning to ask on that more romantic occasion, yes to being Leo's stepmom, yes to building a life together. Just, yes. Grant pulled her close, his voice thick with emotion. I love you, Maya Ellis. I love you too, Grant Langston, she whispered back. And I love both of you, Leo declared, wrapping his arms around their legs in a group hug. As they stood there in their kitchen, arms entwined, Maya marveled at how a single act of kindness on an airplane had changed everything. From a first-class seat to a first-class life, one filled with love, family, and the promise of many journeys to come. 3 months later, they were married in a simple ceremony in their backyard. Leo served as best man, proudly carrying the rings on a small pillow. Catherine attended with Richard, their relationship with Grant slowly mending as she learned to be an aunt rather than trying to be a replacement mother. And as Maya and Grant exchanged vows beneath an arch of flowers, with Leo beaming beside them, Maya knew she had finally found what she had been searching for her entire life. Not just a seat, but a place to belong, a home, a family. All because a kind stranger had seen her pain and offered her his seat. Sometimes, Maya reflected as Grant slipped a ring on her finger, the smallest gestures of kindness could change everything. And sometimes what looked like an ending was really just the beginning of the most beautiful journey of all. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant declared. You may kiss the bride. As Grant's lips met hers, Leo cheered loudly, and Maya knew with absolute certainty that this was where she was meant to be all along. Not in first class, but in the arms of the man who had seen her when no one else had, and the love of the little boy who had given her his heart so freely. This was her happily ever after, and it had all begun with a seat that changed everything. The end.